Is Emily here? Oh, we're moving right along. Liska Benitez. Oops, excuse me. Liska, we got Emily right behind you. You'll be next.
Hi, I'm Emily Hron Weigle. I'm a junior at Massac High School, and I'm 17. Therefore, I am not yet a voter in the state of Connecticut. I am a conscientious citizen, however, and I would like to bring your attention to an issue that has been before the public eye ever since it was first addressed in the 1970s. Connecticut's first bottle bill was passed in the 1970s. Under this legislation, soda and beer containers would be sold with a 5-cent container deposit, which the consumer would reclaim when the empty container was returned. Over the last 2.5 decades, this program can be credited with successfully recovering and recycling hundreds of thousands of tons of used beverage containers. If it weren't for this effort, these recyclables may have been disposed in a less favorable manner. They could have easily ended up in a common garbage can or could have been left as litter in Connecticut's streets and waterways. Times have changed, however, and what was once sufficient and effective legislation is no longer inclusive enough to handle a growing problem. The bottled beverage market, previously dominated by the beverages covered in the original bottle bill, has expanded to include products which we often take for granted. The sports drinks, fruit juices, teas, and of course, the ever-popular bottle of water. The bottle industry has grown and evolved, yet this legislation remains unchanged. In today's world, the typical consumer enjoys a bottled beverage away from home, while working in an office or attending basketball practice. For most, it is almost second nature to discard empty containers in the easiest possible manner. People don't typically cart their bottles home and recycle them because that requires time, thought, and energy, all of which are precious commodities in today's world. Consequently, many recyclables simply join other non-recyclables as waste and are never utilized to their true potential. Even in the best of Connecticut's recycling programs, the curbside recycling rate remains below 30%. The recycling rate of redeemable bottles, however, hovers around 65 to 70%. This is a situation which has always bothered me. As my classmates in public high school discarded their empty bottles at the end of their lunch period, I would always take mine home and recycle. I just couldn't throw it away. I thought that something needed to be done about our students' apparently nonchalant aversion to recycling. I realized, however, that this situation was not brought upon by the students' unwillingness to recycle, but rather by the inaccessibility of recycle bins in our cafeteria, and therefore the inconvenience of the recycling process. During the performance run of our last musical, a generous parent donated cases of water to the cast to be kept backstage on the night of each performance. I believe she donated 4 cases of water, each with 24 bottles of water in them a night, and they were always gone. Every single bottle was used up. And in a 3-day period, that's about 300 bottles of water. Thankfully, someone had the good sense to put out one of the big industrial recycle bins, and it served as a recycle bin. And all the bottles were collected. It was full by the end of the 3-night, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This instance convinced me that if the option to recycle empty beverage containers instead of discarding them was made readily available to the public would recycle. My proposition was to mandate the presence of recycle bins in all public establishments that sell beverages in recyclable containers. It was geared mainly to assure the public the option of recycling when dining in places such as large cafeterias, the likes of which are found in schools, hospitals, and corporations around the state. Senator Finch and State Representative Richard Roy are proposing to take it one step further, however. They are suggesting to not only give people the option to recycle, they are suggesting to give people an incentive. Their proposition to improve the bottle bill by making it inclusive of all recyclable beverage containers is for the environment, it's for saving energy, and it's for research conservation, and it's against waste and litter. Although Connecticut is only one piece in this national puzzle, it is important that we do our part. This program is for Connecticut. I spoke about how when water was donated to our cast, all the bottles were collected in the school. After the play was done, our costumes manager took the bottles and she brought them to the Redemption Center at the Big Y, which is pretty close by. And mentioned earlier was the idea of making schools into redemption centers, and I think that would be an excellent proposition because then students who would discard their bottles could just, I mean, they could be redeemed right on school grounds. They wouldn't have to go anywhere. They wouldn't have to, drive to the store. They wouldn't have to keep it in their garage until their parents drove to the store and redeemed them. It would just be done right on the school grounds. And the schools could make money from this initiative. And in Monroe, every year it's like, well, what's going to get cut from the budget? Are the sports teams going to be able to have enough money to keep going? Our surcharge is going to be astronomical. Is the strings program going to get cut from the 4th grade curriculum? And I think having redemption centers would really help the schools. It would be the start of something which could really make a difference. And I urge you to pass the bottle bill and to consider improving the state's recycling program.
Thank you very much, Emily. Does anyone have any questions for Emily? I would just like to mention that Emily is the winner of the Who Wants to Change the World contest in Monroe, and she wins a $500 prize donated by the Connecticut Trial Lawyers Association to promote the program, and she's here today testifying on her winning essay, which was to increase recycling opportunities in high schools. And when she found out about the fact that the high schools would be redemption centers and be able to make all that money for their programs, it really sold her on the idea, and it sold us on her being a winner. There's now 7 or 8 high schools in the state that are doing the contest, and congratulations you on being a winner. I know your mom is here and she's very proud. So thank you very much. We've seen a lot of youth here today. Emily's going to be going on to study foreign affairs and physics. And it's exactly what the world needs, is people like you in those fields. So we want to thank you very much for coming, and you made your mom real proud today.
Thank you for your time.
Liska Benitez, to be followed by Kevin Dilty and Tim Phelan. Liska?